Hello dear friends and welcome back to Relatos de Ternura. I'm so grateful you've chosen to spend these precious moments with me today. You know, there's something beautifully tender about the way we care for ourselves as we journey through life, especially as we embrace the golden years beyond 60. Today, I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you about something that touches us all. The foods we put into our bodies and how they can either nurture us or slowly diminish the vibrant life we deserve to live. If you're over 60 or if you love someone who is, this message is wrapped in love and delivered with the hope that we can all enjoy many more years of health, joy, and meaningful connections. I've been thinking about my own grandmother lately. She lived to be 93, and I remember how she would always say, "Mia, your body is your temple, treat it with the respect it deserves." She was right, wasn't she? Our bodies have carried us through decades of laughter, tears, challenges, and triumphs. Now, more than ever, they need our gentle care and wise choices. Let's start with something that might surprise you: processed meats. I know, that morning bacon, those convenient lunch meats, the sausages that smell so wonderful when they're cooking. But here's the tender truth we need to face together. These foods are slowly creating inflammation in our bodies, and after 60, our bodies simply can't handle that burden as well as they once could. When I say processed meats, I'm talking about bacon, hot dogs, lunch meats, sausages, and even those beautifully packaged ham slices. These foods are loaded with sodium, preservatives, and chemicals that our aging bodies struggle to process. The nitrates and nitrites used to preserve them can form compounds in our bodies that increase inflammation and have been linked to heart disease and even certain cancers. I remember Maria, a dear friend who used to have a ham sandwich every single day for lunch. She thought she was making a healthy choice after all. It was just meat and bread, right? But when she started experiencing joint pain and fatigue, her doctor gently suggested she eliminate processed meats. Within weeks, she felt like a new person. The inflammation in her body had decreased, and she had energy she hadn't felt in years. Instead of processed meats, try fresh, lean proteins like grilled chicken breast, fish, or even plant-based proteins, like beans and lentils. Your body will thank you with more energy, less joint pain, and a stronger immune system. Now, let's talk about something that's particularly close to my heart because it's such a common struggle: refined sugars. After 60, our bodies process sugar differently than they did when we were younger. Our metabolism slows down, and our cells become less sensitive to insulin, which means that slice of cake or those cookies affect us much more dramatically than they used to. I'm not talking about the natural sugars in fruits; those are gifts from nature, wrapped in fiber and nutrients. I'm talking about the added sugars in sodas, pastries, candy, and even seemingly healthy foods like flavored yogurts and breakfast cereals. These foods cause our blood sugar to spike and crash, leaving us feeling tired, irritable, and craving more sugar. Think about how you feel after eating a sugary dessert. There's that initial rush of pleasure, followed by a crash that leaves you feeling depleted. This roller coaster becomes more pronounced as we age, and it can contribute to diabetes, heart disease, and cognitive decline. I want to share a story about Carlos, a gentleman I met at a community center. He was 72 and struggling with afternoon fatigue. Every day after lunch, he'd have a sweet treat and a sugary coffee drink. He thought he was giving himself energy, but he was actually creating a cycle of energy highs and lows that left him exhausted. When he gradually replaced his afternoon sweets with fresh fruit and nuts, he discovered sustained energy he hadn't felt in years. The beautiful thing is, you don't have to eliminate sweetness from your life. Try natural alternatives like fresh berries, a small piece of dark chocolate, or even a date stuffed with almond butter. Your taste buds will adjust, and you'll find that natural sweetness becomes incredibly satisfying. Let's talk about trans fats, those sneaky ingredients that hide in so many foods we might not even suspect. These are perhaps the most dangerous fats for our hearts, especially after 60, when our cardiovascular system needs extra care and protection. Trans fats are created when liquid oils are turned into solid fats through a process called hydrogenation. You'll find them in many packaged baked goods, fried foods, margarine, and even some coffee creamers. These fats raise our bad cholesterol while lowering our good cholesterol, exactly the opposite of what our hearts need. What breaks my heart is that these fats are often hidden in foods that seem innocent. That store-bought muffin for breakfast, those crispy crackers for a snack, even some frozen dinners that seem healthy, they can all contain trans fats. After 60, when our hearts have already worked so hard for so many years, we need to be especially protective. I think about Alina, a vibrant 70-year-old who loved her morning pastry with coffee. It was her little ritual, her moment of joy before starting the day. But when her doctor told her that her cholesterol levels were concerning, she had to make a change. Instead of giving up her morning ritual, she started baking her own muffins using healthy oils and whole grains. She discovered that the ritual was more important than the processed pastry, and her heart health improved dramatically. Look for foods labeled trans fat-free and check ingredient lists for partially hydrogenated oils. Choose natural fats, like olive oil, avocado, nuts, and seeds. Your heart will beat stronger and longer. Salt is such a simple ingredient, but it can have profound effects on our bodies, especially after 6. I'm not talking about the small amount of natural salt we need for our bodies to function properly. I'm talking about the excessive sodium hiding in processed foods, restaurant meals, and even foods we might consider healthy. As we age, our bodies to become more sensitive to sodium, and too much can lead to high blood pressure, which increases our risk of heart disease and stroke. The recommended daily limit is about 2,300 milligrams. But many of us consume far more than that without even realizing it. The challenge is that sodium is everywhere in bread, canned soups, frozen meals, restaurant food, and even some breakfast cereals. A single serving of canned soup can contain almost a full day's worth of sodium. It's hidden in places we'd never expect. I remember Roberto, who thought he was eating healthily by choosing frozen diet meals. He was shocked to discover that his healthy lunch contained more sodium than he should have in an entire day. When he started preparing simple meals at home with fresh ingredients, not only did his blood pressure improve, but he discovered flavors he had forgotten existed. The beautiful thing about reducing sodium is that your taste buds adapt. Start by cooking more meals at home, using herbs and spices instead of salt for flavor. Lemon juice, garlic, fresh herbs and spices can make food incredibly flavorful without the health risks. Your blood pressure will thank you, and you might discover that you actually prefer the natural taste of food. Finally, let's talk about highly processed foods in general. These are foods that have been so altered from their natural state that they barely resemble the original ingredients. Think about foods that come in boxes, bags, or cans with long ingredient lists full of words you can't pronounce. After 60, our bodies need nutrients more than ever. We need the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that help us fight inflammation, maintain our immune systems, and keep our minds sharp. But highly processed foods are often stripped of these nutrients and loaded with empty calories, unhealthy fats, and artificial additives. These foods are designed to be convenient and to taste good, but they're not designed to nourish our bodies. They often leave us feeling hungry shortly after eating because they don't provide the sustained nutrition our bodies crave. I think about Anna, who used to rely heavily on packaged convenience foods because she lived alone and didn't want to cook elaborate meals. She felt tired all the time and couldn't understand why. When she started incorporating more whole foods, fresh vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and lean protein, she discovered energy and vitality she thought she had lost forever. The solution isn't to make cooking complicated. Simple, whole foods can be incredibly easy to prepare. A piece of grilled fish with steamed vegetables, a salad with olive oil and lemon, or a bowl of oatmeal with fresh fruit. These simple meals provide the nutrition our bodies need to thrive. My dear friends, I want you to know that sharing this information comes from a place of deep care and love. I'm not asking you to overhaul your entire diet overnight or to give up every food you enjoy. I'm asking you to be gentle with yourself while also being wise about the choices you make. Your body has been your faithful companion for over 60 years. It's carried you through every joy and sorrow, every challenge and triumph. Now it's asking for your care and attention. By avoiding these 5 types of foods: processed meats, refined sugars, trans fats, excessive sodium, and highly processed foods, you're giving your body the gift of health and longevity. Remember, small changes create big results. Start with one change, maybe swapping that afternoon cookie for a piece of fruit, or cooking one more meal at home this week. Your body will respond with gratitude.